Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to check out Qwixx. It's a dice rolling game, 2 to 5 players for ages 8 and up, with the average playtime being about 15 minutes. Now the concept is very simple. You'll try and cross out as many numbers as you can on your score pad across the 4 different colored rows. The more numbers you can cross off, the more points you get at the end of the game, and whoever has the most points will win. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the components and see how the game is played. Alright, and here's a quick look at your components. You've got one box, obviously, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because it has a flip lid. I don't see a lot of games that offer something like that. You've got 6 dice, 2 white dice, 1 red, 1 green, 1 yellow, 1 blue, and you've got a score pad. Alright, now the game is broken up over a series of turns, and on a particular player's turn, they will be the active player. What they'll do at the very beginning of their turn is roll all 6 dice. After that, the active player will have to do 2 things. The first thing they'll do is add up the sum of the white dice, in this case it's 5. They'll announce that sum to the other players, and every player in the game has the option, they don't have to, has the option of crossing off that value on any of their colored rows. So, because this is a 5 here, all players could cross off the red 5, the yellow 5, the green 5, or the blue 5 if they want to. The second thing that happens on the active player's turn is for the active player only. The other players will not participate. What the active player will do is choose one of the white die and then one of the colored die. They'll add those 2 values together and then cross off the appropriate number on their score pad. So just as an example, let's say that the active player chooses this 1 and this red 3. They sum 4, he chose the red die, so what will happen is he'll cross off the 4 on a score sheet. Just as another example, let's say he chose the 4 and then chose the blue 5. They sum to be 9, so he would cross off the blue 9 on his score pad. Again, this step is completely optional. The active player does not have to cross off a number if they don't want to. So just to quickly recap, you'll sum these 2 dice, everyone will cross off a number if they want to, then the active player will choose 1 white and 1 colored, they'll add those together and cross off the appropriate number. Both of those events are optional. Now if the active player, does not cross off a number on their turn, they'll have to tick off one of these boxes in the penalty area. That'll give them -5 points. So if at all possible, the active player should try and cross off at least one number if they can. The other players don't have to worry about this when it is someone else's turn. Okay, now this all sounds pretty easy. Roll dice, mark off numbers. Well, there are a few stipulations, of course. One of them is that you have to work from left to right on your score pad when you're marking off numbers. So let's say that you already have a red 5 marked off, okay, on a previous turn. On a future turn, you would not be able to mark off the red 2, the red 3, or the red 4. Just as another example, let's say you have the blue 5 marked off. You would not be able to cross off anything before it on your turn should that number be rolled. So again, you're working from left to right. Now the other big rule I want to mention real quick is that you'll have the ability to lock rows. Now again, whenever you cross off a number, especially the one on the far right here, you won't be able to cross off anything before it. But if you manage to cross off that last number, you'll lock that particular color and remove that die from the game. Now in order to cross off the last box, you have to have at least 5 boxes of that color checked already. Now let's just say that a player managed to do that. He had 5 colors of red and then finally ticked off this last box off to the far right here. Once you do that, that'll remove this color from the game, and no other player in the game, including the player that marked it off, will be able to score on that colored row. So the game will end when there are 2 colors locked, or when someone manages to fill their penalty box, all 4 boxes. At that point in the game, players will take a look at the score pad to see what their final score will be. See if we can focus in on this. And they'll score points for each color. What they'll do is they'll take a look at this chart here. If they have 5 boxes ticked off, they'll score 15 points, for example. If they have 9 boxes ticked off on a colored row, they'll get 45 points. So let's say that on the red row, this one player had, I don't know, 2 boxes ticked off. So we take a look at the 2 times here, that's 3 points. So the player would write 3 in the red box. If this player had 4 boxes ticked off here, the player would look on the chart, 4, 10, so he would write 10 here, and then he would do the same thing with green and blue, add them all up, and then subtract any penalties they might have. Again, it's -5 points for each penalty box ticked. And then they'll sum all of those numbers together to get a final score. Whoever has the highest score at the end of the game will win. Alright, and there you have it, a very brief look at Qwixx. What did I think? Well, it's very family-friendly. A lot of games that I own from GameRight are family-friendly, so no question about that. It supports up to 5 players, which is convenient for me. I have a family of 5. A lot of games in my collection only support up to 4 players, and we can't play them on Family Game Night because of that. So that's great, convenient for me. What else? Well, I like the fact that players won't be bored in this game. Again, whenever the active player rolls those dice, everyone has the option of taking off the sum of the 2 white dice. There's no waiting in between turns, people just sitting there being bored, that kind of thing. Everyone is engaged no matter whose turn it is, so that's fantastic. And I like the idea of the flip here. I mean, there is a little magnet on the inside of the lid here to prevent it from, I don't know, accidentally coming out. But it's not all that powerful. So if you are, going to travel with this thing, I'd recommend a rubber band around it lengthways just to be on the safe side. But other than that, great game. If you guys want to see the full review, you can. www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.